Hi, my name is Dennis Kiley, and I'm the president of the EcoPsychology Initiative. Some of you might have seen some of our written materials about our 10 principles for transformative impact, which is a core aspect of our curriculum at the EcoPsychology Initiative. And in these materials, you may have noticed that we make a lot of bold claims about the benefits and impacts of these principles, ranging from increasing empowerment, engagement, and effectiveness in your life to its pertinence in all areas of your life, whether personal or professional or relational or community engagement. And in a world that has a lot of jargon and big ad campaigns, marketing and otherwise, it would make sense why some of you might be a little curious at minimum, if not even maybe a little bit skeptical about some of the claims that we're making. So I want to take a little bit of time today to talk a little bit further about these principles, where they come from, and therefore why they can be as effective as they really are. And what these principles are is they're not a disparate, disjointed collection of tenets that we just gather and put together on paper to try and promote paid programming, but rather they're part of a cohesive and integrative set of principles that become the lens from which we experience, process, and even engage the whole world. And the principles start from an underlying premise that we live on a planet that's interconnected and complex, that's dynamic, ever-changing, and filled with uncertainty. In short, it starts from the notion that our planet is systemic and holistic. And consequently, what we've done with the EcoPsychology Initiative is identified 10 principles that come from systems that have also been proven successful and effective by natural ecosystems since the beginning of time. Consequently, these principles are not fast fashion or quick fads of ideas that last for a little while to sell books, but rather they've been perfected, proven, and refined in nature's time-tested laboratory for thousands of years. And what makes these really exciting is that they have applicability in all areas, because humans, our whole world, as individuals, as relationships, families, organizations, and communities, these are about systems as well. So the principles aren't just pertinent for ecology in the natural world. And the one thing that's nice as well is that each principle, as I said, is a characteristic of any type of system. But beyond that, they are also strategies and goals on their own. So some of the principles that we have, and in fact, I'll repeat them all right now, are relationships, adaptation, both and, communication, creativity, diversity, decentralization, edges, patterns, and teamwork. And so just to use one as an example, diversity. It's characteristic and present in any type of circumstance, whether we're aware of it or not. But diversity can also be a strategy to achieve the outcomes that we're wanting, not to mention it can be a goal on its own. So in this way, the principles, their characteristics, their strategies, and their goals that we can apply to all areas of our life. Furthermore, when you apply all these 10 principles collectively, cohesively together, the benefits are even more far-reaching and impactful. And this derives from a notion that comes in ecosystems that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So when you holistically combine these principles, you get outcomes that we're all really wanting in our lives and in our world. From resilience and innovation, sustainability, leadership, efficiency, harmony, health, healing, all the very things that we find in the natural world that, again, that we're needing and wanting in our human worlds as well. And we don't want to begin to suggest that we're the only ones advocating for this systemic approach. We're not. There's many other individuals and organizations that talk about the need for this holistic approach. Not to mention that we're not the only ones that have identified these principles either. Though we are unique in a couple of respects. One, we've taken these 10 together and created a consolidated list that we're using. And we work psychologically applying these principles with individuals and organizations and communities. We use them to help people better organize and plan, engage, and lead. We apply them into the ways that you think, act, feel, and relate. And so in that way, there's really broad-reaching benefit to all areas of your life. And what's also really pertinent about these principles is that they're an antidote to the way that our world is currently being operated. There's a lot of benefits that come from our technology and our mechanization that exists out there, and yet those are really poor models for trying to solve the pertinent human problems of our time. Using automation, digitalization, mechanization, the analogy and imagery of a machine is really great for our technology. It's not so good when we're talking about how to solve psychological, personal, social, environmental, political, even economic issues, because those are more systemic. We need those systemic lenses. So what we do in all of our 10 principles programming, whether our classes or trainings or consultations, is that we have two primary goals: education and empowerment. The education focus is that we want to make sure that you understand these principles, what they are, how they work, why they're important. But the empowerment portion is just as important as well. We want you to feel empowered to psychologically apply all 10 of these principles individually and collectively to any circumstance that you might be needing, so that you start to get the robust types of impact that we all want. You create a lens from which you can better understand problems and dynamics, not to mention you have a map that you can use to create solutions and achieve the outcomes that you're wanting. So we hope that you'll be interested in this programming. Please feel free to visit our website, contact us if you want to learn more. We currently have an ongoing class that's on these principles. And in the meantime, we just invite you to come back to this idea that in some ways might seem radical now, but is time tested, and in some ways is returning back to the way our cultures used to operate, which is that nature really knows that these systemic models are how we live and how we can be most effective. And as a core adage we say at the EcoPsychology Initiative, from which these principles come from, nature knows the way.